I think I need some more coffee as well. Let me just share my screen as we say good morning to everyone. Let's have an emoji in the chat. Just how you feeling about crypto in general?
Yeah,
Crypto.
I want to
No
know. I want to
politics,
know.
nothing else.
I want to know.
Hey, Michael,
It's been
Ricky. So yeah, Maurizio is now back, so there will be the daily update. So no more crickets in the group. Yeah, Michael was one of the people asking, when's Maurizio going to be back? Well,
Hey
he's
guys, how you doing? Nice to be back.
baby AVAX.
Baby Avax is healthy. Wife is healthy. Everything is going well. Sleep is not going well, but everything else is going well. Thank you for people that ask. Thank you guys.
Sleep's a thing of the past for you, dude. It's
Pretty much, man. Before the market kept me awake, now my baby's gonna keep me awake. That you can't win, man. You can't win.
well, actually, you can win because today we've got David Holt on the call, so
There
we're
we
all,
go.
hey,
What's up, guys?
and it's really great to have David here. And I think we've settled down a little bit. So what we're going to do today is we're gonna start off with David. He's just going to give us a quick, you know, of the vault. You can feel free to fire your questions in, and then I'll show you in the Mighty Networks where you can get more materials, and then we'll hand over to Maurizio for a bit of a cat. Oh, sorry, I'm sharing my screen, aren't I? So this is the coaching hub then. So this is where all the information is available. And if you really want to understand more of the methodology, this video here, I know it's asking you to spend 45 minutes of your time, but this is where to focus in. If you haven't got any, if you're in the vault and you want to understand more, focus on this and then start to formalize some questions, and then you can come along with some real humdingers. Hey, David, answer this one for me. I've watched the video, and that'll be a really great way to do it. So over to you, David.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I wanted to hop on and kind of chat about the vault a little bit this week. Obviously, for those of you that are participating, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We got fucking slaughtered, right? It's been a rough market. And so we've talked a little bit about what we do in the vault, and that is we buy one thing and we sell another thing, and we're collecting the funding. Like we get a regular payout every hour, for selling one thing, and then we collect another payout on the hour for being long the other thing, and we change our positions accordingly. And the reason that this works is because there's no free lunch in markets, right? Like we all know that if you're getting paid, if you're making money, there's a reason for it. And unfortunately, we started our vault at the time where we start off with the lesson. This is why we get to make money most of the time, because every once in a great fucking while, something comes on, like everything that we've been seeing with tariffs. I'm not going to go into the politics of all that. That's not what we do here. We're not crystal ball people. But the reason this strategy makes money is because every great once in a while, there comes around a time where it just gets slaughtered. And unfortunately, we launched the vault right into one of those periods. Does not happen often. So I understand if you're looking at your account balance going like, holy shit, where did all the money go? Trust me, we're doing the same thing. That does not mean we're changing the plan, right? We're sticking with the plan because this is a strategy. It makes money. It's already starting to come creeping back a little bit. Not as fast as we'd like, unfortunately, always, right? But yeah, I did want to hop on and tell you guys because, I know a bunch of you guys are going to have some questions about that. And unfortunately, that's kind of just what we do. And it's what makes this job difficult because it's not fun to sit in your hands and go, I know I'm doing the right thing, even though it's costing me a ton of money right now. Right. Unfortunately, that's just kind of where we've been for the past, I want to say about like the last like week or so. And that's the general summary. We're sticking with the long short thing. The one thing that we did tweak just a little bit, because Scott and I talked about this the other day. We said, okay, obviously we just launched into this brutal period in the market. So what we're gonna be doing is we're adding a little bit, mixing in a few of the signals from our trend following system in there to try to kind of recoup those losses a little bit quicker for you guys. Because I know it's not pleasant to watch. Obviously, I don't get paid if I'm not making you guys money, so I'm not making shit right now, right? So we're all on the same page here. I'm not happy. You're not happy, but we have a game plan. We're sticking with it. It's gonna come back. We're gonna all make money together. I just wanted to hop on and tell you guys, like, from me, since I'm the one that is primarily the one trading on the vault. That way you guys can hear it from me, see like, hey, that way it's not just a black box of, oh, what the hell is happening. Um, it's unfortunate. It's a shitty time to be in the market, or has been. Looks like we're kind of coming out of that now, and we're gonna run it back. So
Awesome. David, if I may, and I want to ask you a technical question, but I want to ask it in a really untechnical way. And if you can you answer it in a really untechnical way as
of
well?
course,
So if we go back to, like we just got slaughtered, right? Everybody understand. We said, what's the basic mechanics? Like, what was the bet that we were taking that didn't work out that led to us getting slaughtered? And this is not anything to do with the performance at all. This is just purely the mechanical
yeah.
actions that happened.
Yeah. So normally, like I said, we're buying one thing and we're selling another, and we're getting paid a little bit on both sides for both of those trades, right? Um, and usually those two things, or we have a whole bunch of things, but they're all paired up, right? Usually those things, when you put them together, kind of all wiggle around and cancel each other's wiggling out, so you get more or less a straight line with a little bit of a profit appreciation. That's the general idea. What's happened in the past like week and a half or so has been the things have all been wiggling in the same direction at the same time, right? So the wiggles that are supposed to normally cancel each other out, so that we're mostly still kind of staying flat, and like this thing might move up or down a little bit. We might make or lose a little bit of money here, but it all cancels out, and generally we just collect the steady payout stream. That's the way the strategy normally works. But when the markets go absolutely crazy and haywire, those wiggles from the different assets and things that we're holding, they don't cancel each other out anymore, right? And so that's what's happening, right? So this usually happens very quickly and for a very short period of time, because the market needs there to be some sort of stability, not necessarily in price, but in the way that things behave, right? So the market needs, and when I say the market, I mean participants in the market are going to trade assets in a way that make the market do this, right? It can't not do this for very long. That's why these sort of periods are very rare, but when they come, they're very brutal, right? The market will correct and things will begin to like resume their normal relationships with each other. And we're seeing that now. We've seen that over the past couple of days, where we're starting to see sort of a return to what you would consider a more normal, like healthy market that's not just getting slapped around by 500% tariffs on China or whatever. But yeah. So that
Awesome.
Generally speaking, we make money because we have a model of how prices work most of the time, and no model is perfect, right? And so most of the time, we have this expectation of what prices of certain things are going to do or behave like, not necessarily where they're going to move or go to, but like the way that they behave. And most of the time, the things that we're trading, they behave the way we expect them to. And just in the like over the past week and a half, all the different coins have said, "Fuck you, we're doing our own thing," and that's when it happens. But it can't stay that way very long.
Awesome.
And we're already seeing a return to normalcy.
So I think one of the people have been putting some questions in the chat. If there's any more questions, fire them out now. We'll hand this over to Maurizio. I think the last thing from me, I think the biggest thing that I've picked up from this morning is the reason we can make money with this over the long term is because every so often everybody gets wiped out, or a wipeout event happens. So now we've had that wipeout event. Nothing is guaranteed. But now we should we're seeing in Bitcoin, which Maurizio will go into in a minute, we're starting to see some stability. We're starting to see the market be a little bit more bullish now. We're returning to normal, you could say. So, yeah, great.
And the important thing to remember too is for our strategy, it's not even about like whether the market goes up or down. So it's not like because we could have gotten this. Sometimes goes the other way too, like where the things we're trading could behave wrong according to like our model and why we make money, to the upside too, like where we could absolutely get blown out. It just happened to be on the downside. So I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea and think that, just because the market's going down, this isn't going to work. That's not true, right? If the market is progressing in an orderly fashion, whether it's up, down, or just like straight sideways, this strategy is going to do well, right? It's not so much dependent on market direction. It is dependent on the relationship between the different things we're trading staying more or less the way that we expect them to.
Awesome. Thank you for that precision. Maurizio, is there anything you'd like to ask or add, or otherwise
No, all good. Because I did this strategy a while back, and I did experience the same thing, man. And over the time of over a long period of time, is going to ease off in a way, you know. And very good point, David, right there. It could happen both ways. You might see that it gets blown up to the other side of the win rate, and then all of a sudden, like we get like 50-80% positive PNL. You know what I mean? So that happens on both ends. I did experience that a while back. So
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah. Yep, I treat those as sort of just bonuses. You don't count on them because you can only make money off of what the market gives you, right? Like we can't force the market to give us opportunities or anything that there's not going to be there. So sometimes, you know, we'll wake up one morning and be like, oh, wow, cool, awesome. You know, I just made a ton of money. And unfortunately, sometimes you wake up and you go, oh, this doesn't look great. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I just wanted to hop on. I wanted to be able to share that with you guys. I know a lot of you guys were kind of concerned about how the vault was doing, and understandably so. Wanted to give you guys a little bit of clarity on, you know, nothing has changed. We are, you know, this is still a very solidly performing strategy that myself, Scott, I don't know if you guys are familiar with James, but several of us have been running variations of for years. And it's just very unfortunate timing that we launched the vault right into one of these big events. Yeah,
sure.
the timing on that was definitely not what we could have hoped. Now, Ian, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Where do I get one of those cool backgrounds you and Mauricio are sporting there? Because I'm around back here.
I reckon something could be done.
Alrighty.
Awesome.
But yeah, that was about all I had, guys. I just wanted to hop on and have that conversation with you and be able to give you guys a little bit of insight and clarity into what's going on there. So
And we really
I'll go ahead and let Mauricio take it from here, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, David. See you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Abe.
All right, Maurizio, let's get on to
all right, mate. It's been hectic. Not hectic, obviously, but I just want to be completely honest. I'm starting catching up yesterday with what the markets have done. I haven't looked at charts at all. I wanted to be completely off, and we're just going. I'm gonna go through how the process is to recatch up on everything in terms of the portfolio. I see a lot of things happening in terms of bounces. I see a lot of good setups that might play it out this week in terms of long, like especially like short-term scalps and things like that. But things look like it's pretty good, to be honest. Like a lot of things seems to be capitulating right now. So let's start with Bitcoin, and let me just show you what I'm watching. And you know, this week I think is gonna be a little bit of I think it's gonna be very active, especially if we start like doing short-time trading. I think short-time trading is very positive in the next couple of weeks. Long-term, you know, start getting positioned. I will sort of still, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty around tariffs. You know, tariffs has been the freaking thing of the year, man. Like, and you cannot actually freaking time that thing, okay? What we can do is see how the markets react or what type of projects actually are holding, right, on those kind of things, so we can actually start getting position on those, which when things normalize, I think that's going to give us a little bit better, you know, upside when things start just getting ripping off. So let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second. And all right, do you guys see my screen now?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
All right, so let's start with Bitcoin, right? Okay, let me just ask him quite, like, obviously I've been away for 2 weeks, so I just drew a line here on the 27 roughly is when I actually got out turned everything off, man. Like, and obviously it's been very, very healthy. Sometimes I do that. It's very, very healthy not to look at the markets, not to look at anything, just to be completely away. I think it was pretty healthy for me in this particular time. So if I start getting back into it, right, this is what I will start looking into it. So first of all, on the 27th, right, we were at these levels. You guys are very familiar with my levels. I do these levels on a daily basis, right? But then what we've noticed is that we sort of ripped off the lows, right? I did talk about clearing these lows as here. So obviously think about it from the perspective that if this is sort of like a deviation, this wouldn't be a really great long here. When that happened on Thursday last week, I was here? No, I wasn't. I would have taken that trade. Yes, I would have, right? Why? Because usually, you get a gap. This is the gap that happened on the 28th of Feb. With that, people go long, put the stop losses, clear the stop losses here, and then obviously you get a little bit of a run. Here is another sort of deviation that happened, and now we are at that level that it could turn either way, right? So I like to place trades, as you know, when I get good risk reward, right? So obviously, if I want to buy or want to sell or want to go long or want to go short, whatever you want to call it, right? If I'm here, right, a good risk reward will be taking the entry right here. So I'm very peculiar with my entries, right? Especially when I do leverage trading. You guys know that. So obviously I have to wait. I have to do a lot of waiting. Also, I missed a lot of ones, but that's kind of the way that I trade the markets, right? Especially on short term. If you do a spot or long-term holds, I don't really care the entry. I just start buying or DCAing or averaging. I look at different things like the fundamentals and the likelihood of the project coming back. But where we are at the moment and with Bitcoin is that pretty much are very close to the same level that I was 2 weeks ago. But with the difference that we clear all these lows here, right? More than likely, if we see this here, right, more than likely we're going to see a lot of wipeouts in the open interest. So let's have a look at that. The open interest. So where are you? Open interest right here. By the way, you guys are all watching my screen, right? All right, sweet. Thank you. Okay. So let me load up. This is the liquidations here, but let me load up. So obviously, when we had this clearing on these lows, we have a bunch of liquidation to the downside right here. This is actually quite positive because it is resetting open interest to both sides. It resets open interest to the downside and to the upside. So a lot of the long side have been cleared and a lot of the shorts have been cleared. So this is when really cool trades could happen. And that's what you can actually clearly see here. A lot of liquidations to the long side have been cleared. I would have taken this trade around here, man. Like obviously, but it was going to be plenty of these setups to come along, which I'm now seeing right now that the market is bouncing. Now, the interesting thing is if I have a look at what's going on right now, right, is this going to keep going up or is this going to be a bounce back? Unfortunately, we cannot actually tell sort of medium long term, but it could easily say, right, that on the, let me just look here in the 1 hour here. All right, so this is the 4 hour, this is the 1 hour. So we have this sort of setup right here that happened. Look at the what we call divergence that it happened here. So at the 74,000 level, right, then we got people buying. How do we know people buying? In a way, it's kind of, we don't know for sure, but the fact that we have open interest going up and the price is not going lower, that means that there is a likelihood that the price is going to go higher. So this would be a really, really interesting trade that we could have taken, right? So that's kind of what I want to put in your head, because we're going to be doing like, I'm looking at the markets. I started looking at the markets yesterday, and there's been a lot of this divergencing happening. Obviously, we're not looking for longer time trades, like position get, and then in the next 2 or 3 months, we're looking for like a day tops trades, you know what I mean, with good risk reward. We're going to get a lot of stop outs, but we're going to get very, very nice to good, very, very nice trades. So that's kind of what I'm looking at the moment in Bitcoin. So essentially, let me go back to here. So market just closed very positively. Like, I see that it could be another way that we can actually retest these highs here. I was talking before I went away that there is a highly likelihood that we're going to be ranging for a while. I don't know if you guys remember that, right? Did you guys remember that? I've been talking about, especially when everything dropped here, that we were going to be ranging, and then we didn't know essentially what the high might look like. I was aiming for this high, but then now there is a high likelihood that this could be a new range, right? So I think we could range from here, I don't know for how long, but this basically is going to depend on breaking Trump. And like, obviously, the guy is just manipulating markets, right? In a way, right? Why? Let me go through the S&P 500, and there's something that I'm seeing that is quite interesting. Before I went away, I was hoping that this we clear the 200 MA, and I it is important, but it's not important. But a lot of people that watch the 200 EMA from the daily perspective, and the interesting thing is last week was great, man. Last week it wouldn't be a really cool bounce trades. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be long in different ones. So it bounced out of this level. So where is this level come from? Like, if we go to the weekly, right? That was the highest. That was the all-time high on December 2021. This level here. So interesting enough, this is an interesting level, because this breakout actually was the one that led up to the new high, the all-time high in a way, right? So we're right here, okay? So I just want to ask you guys, from your perspective, we very at the moment the economy is technically following the S&P 500, right? And everything is just a reaction of what the tariffs will mean into long-term economy. So just as a poll, do you guys will buy stocks right now? Will you buy anything right now? Just say yes, say no. Do you think it's going to get worse? Do you think it's going to stop right now? This is the bottom. What do you guys think? Tell me, like, just quickly in the chat. I just want to hear your thoughts. Okay, so we have a mix. Some of you are ready to buy, some of you are not, right? This is my take. So obviously, just by seeing price action reacting to this level, clearing back up to this level here, there is a high. We could actually get another retest to the low, right? But the downside is that it's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what the economy will hold with the tariffs. Is that going to be another imposed tariffs all of a sudden? Is going to be, China and US and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of where like, if I only look at the price action, definitely. But the only downside is we can see a lot of uncertainty coming back. Is this a good time to buy and sell? I will say yes, but my play will be like taking a lot of short-term trades in a way, right? Getting position in long-term. What I mean long-term is what we have in the spot portfolio is like for probably 6 to 7 months onwards, right? I think we could get better prices. That could be a possibility. So I'm sort of like, if we, we always want to weigh everything in possibilities or in, what the statistical level are. I'm 70% towards buying and still 40% towards that we are going to retest again these lows here, right? On any sort of news, market is very, very susceptible to anything that's happening with tariffs at the moment. And if it is not tariffs, it could be something else like Trump. The good thing about Trump is that if we play the market, is giving us volatility. So if that's going to be my focus in the next couple of weeks, play the volatility and not playing long term, because that's kind of what we're seeing, right? Over and over and over again. So let's say, Martin, people will need to liquidate their assets, especially crypto, to cover the trading margins like the dust stuff. Well, that's a big statement, right? Because you don't know what the portfolios of people are. Do you know how many positions? Do you know? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of very, very, very susceptible to you don't know those insights in terms of data, right? That will be my take. Sorry, but that's a good appreciation in terms of what could have happened. But then obviously I will not sort of looking to get attached to it. I basically see price action and what it holds. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at the moment. So let's cover Ethereum. Let's cover Ethereum. Where we at? So Ethereum. Ethereum, I drew this level back here, which is sort of the weekly level that actually lead to the rally, right? That happened on October 2023. And we basically cleared that out completely. Let me have a look at the daily, right? Right. So Ethereum, what I was talking before I went away is that it was pretty weak. You know what I mean? Like you could actually, in terms of structure, right? If you compare Bitcoin, let me just show you Bitcoin against Ethereum, right? You can actually see Bitcoin that you still remain, or from the daily perspective, you still have a bullish sort of structure, right? And you can actually see that even though you do have volatility, then you can see market structure to the upside being broken. So that's actually quite positive, right? If we have, from that mindset, if we have a look at Ethereum, right, it's a completely different picture. What do you guys think about Ethereum? If I zoom out, let me just hide all these things. Right, if this is the daily, what do you guys think about Ethereum right now? Like in terms of price action. Ethereum is dead. Would you buy Ethereum right now? It's the slow version of that did. Yeah, I'll argue on that. I'll talk about we actually did pretty well on that one. We took some profits and nearly to the top. Depression, rock bottom. Yeah, maybe soon. All right. I wouldn't buy, like technically, I would want to see a little bit of strength before I start buying, right? That's kind of, because we can go lower. And you could argue that this could be a bottom, yeah, definitely, but we can go a little bit lower. I still think that fundamentally, Ethereum has something in its back, like in terms of technology wise, right? Will this go back to all-time highs? Maybe, right? But then it's a lot of projects actually that run on Ethereum anyway. So fundamentally, I still like it, right? But would I buy it right now? I don't really think so until I see a strength. So how do I recognize strength? Let me just get back into these drawings. All right. So where we at? If we draw a line of, let me just learn from the weekly perspective, right? Because longer term. All right, check this out. So we are at, let me just draw another one here. This is interesting. Okay, let's have a look here. All right. This is this weekly that actually held up this rally up. Okay, so these levels are quite important, and you know, you guys want to do some scalping at these levels. And scalping, what it means is like, you know, that these levels hold, so you can actually pull up the 1 hour chart or things like that, and then just buy and then sell, you know, after it rises 1%, 5%. And if you know how to do sizing and you know how to do like quick trading, that's pretty profitable. That's pretty much what I do on these levels, right? Because always there is a reaction to it. There is a highly percentage that there is a high percent that every time that the price action hits one of these levels, it does something. It bounces. It doesn't need to bounce all the way up here for you to make money, but it does something here. So if you have a look at the smaller time frames and then you play some positions like that, you know how to size effectively, then you can actually make money here. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what trading, like scalping or short-term trading is all about. But if we look from the longer time perspective, right, this first of all, this needs to hold. This level needs to hold right here, right? If we look at the open interest on Ethereum, let me have a look. You need to see that people are opening positions, right? Is kind of one of the things that this could be right now, looking that people might be opening because open interest is here, but price is holding. What that means is one of the things this could mean, that's why it could mean, it's not certain, that people are closing contracts or positions on leverage. And if the price doesn't move down, what it means is there is a high likelihood that the spot is now getting supported. So people are buying spot. And if the price holds, then this will be a really good, interesting buy. So this could be looking to be an interesting buy, right? From the trading perspective, okay? But from the, where is it? From the long-term perspective, definitely I want to see that on the daily at least, is sort of start gaining some momentum and trend start shifting to the upside. Okay, so that's kind of what I want to see in Ethereum in order to actually get for a longer sort of trade, right? So that's kind of the two different mindsets that you need to sort of look into it. Is this a short-time trade or is this a long-time perspectives? And as you can see, it's two different mindsets. Okay. The Todd, yeah, definitely has a lot of responsibility in the crypto world, and it's not that any means. But definitely, I'm with you, Todd, on that one. Still fundamentally think that Ethereum is here. Will this perform as great as other assets? Don't know now. It's a lot of competition now. The difference of what Ethereum used to be in the past of what it is right now is that Ethereum was the king, right? Like it's Ethereum. Now you have Solana, you have Hype, you have a lot of other chains that they're cheaper, faster, you know, so that's kind of what the competition is all about. So is this going to, you know, so that's kind of the take. But from the short-term perspective, it looks pretty good. But this gap here, yeah, if we have a look at the Ethereum from the short time perspective, right? Still, yeah, I don't see a strength, man. I don't see a strength. I don't see a lot of strength here. So yeah, that's kind of my take. I would have, yeah, there's better coins out there to make money in a way, like from the trading perspective. Let me go through those. Let's have a look at Solana. So I hope that, yeah, Jeff, perfect. Yeah, newer technology. You know what I mean? So obviously, Ethereum is lagging, man. From the technology perspective, can they change that? Perhaps, but I wouldn't get my hopes up, to be honest. So long term, I wouldn't. Yeah, it's better stuff out there, to be honest. But yeah, that's kind of my take on Ethereum. You know what I mean? Like, thoughts on ENA? Let's have a look at ENA. Yeah, I was looking at ENA this morning. Let's have a look. Here's my drawings. Give me 1 second. There you go. Okay, this is my drawings on ENA. So ENA is a different sort of scenario. So obviously ENA, I did talk about how ENA work in terms of the algorithm, in terms of how the stable coin, the USDE operates. And so ENA on bull markets is going, you get this kind of bumps. However, it does get hurt when the markets are not in the upside because of the way that the mechanics in the back end that they have in order to sort of stabilize the USD, right? So I still like it. Will I buy more? No, I'm still we did buy here. I'm holding this one. Yes. I might think about if this goes down, I might think of add more. But I really like ENA from the higher time perspective. This is a long-term trade, right? This is not short-term trade. But the interesting thing is you could use this as a pivot to actually do a little bit of leverage trading, right? When markets start behaving a little bit better, pretty much ENA responds pretty well to those. So when markets, and by mean markets, I'm seeing Bitcoin and the S&P 500 start getting a little bit of strength. Because if you look at S&P 500, let me ask you this: do you think the S&P 500 is strong right now?
Well, say strong.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Is kind of where, like, I have no idea. Like, if you look at this chart, right? This could be a bottom, this could be a range, this could reclaim, this could keep going down. So it's pretty much is no, you know what I mean? Like, there's no directionality, and that comes from the economy, and that comes from what Trump is doing. So what I mean is, when something to be mindful of is when S&P 500 start gaining momentum, Bitcoin gains momentum as well, then I will definitely jump into ENA with leverage. That's kind of my, but we have to wait, fortunately, right? Is this getting set up right now? No. Yeah, you can actually argue that this could be a really good setup for leverage trade to the upside. But if we have a look at the total three, let's have a look at total three. And total three is actually not strong at all whatsoever, right? Let me just make this bigger. Right, so obviously a few things needs to happen in order for me to start getting into the leverage trading to the upside, right? So obviously you need to see momentum on the S&P 500, Bitcoin momentum, and followed by total three, breaking the structure at least, right, to the upside. So that's kind of overall where I'm at, right? there is a bunch of different things that seems to be bottoming out, right? There is a lot of interesting tokens that I'm watching. Yeah, Linda, that's interesting. Shit, you don't know. Like Jim, that's an interesting thing. So if Trump gets killed, that would shoot up. Who knows, man? Like, think about it from the perspective. Let's go through that. Let's say Trump dies, right? What do you think the markets will do? Do you think the markets will definitely rise? All right, interesting. I'm with Jeff, to be honest. Obviously, you cannot actually know, to be honest, because yeah, panic. You know, think about it from the perspective that if a U.S. president gets killed, it's panic, man. People will get their money out of the markets, right? And then when people get money out of the markets, things will crash, right? Like, and that will be the time to buy, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like that will be, because at the end of the day, markets will recover, but panic will set, man. Like yeah, that's a big thing. It's a big, like if that happens, right? It is a big catalyst, right? How people will see it. How do you think institutions will look into it? Do you think institutions will buy more if the president of the United States dies? I don't think so. I think institutions will cover their losses, will stay off risk. That's their job, manage risks, right? So that's an interesting thing, man. It's an interesting theory. How the markets will react, who knows, man? But that will be like that could be, if I think about it, that could be the reaction that I would be looking for. You know what I mean? And then when things settle, I will buy everything that I could take my hands off, to be honest. so so yeah, interesting theory. So let's see. Linda, if Trump clean out of the government agencies with Elon, I think the market is going down more. Then robotics will replace a lot of human. Well, man, it's a tough one, man. Like obviously, like Scott always say, like predicting all this stuff is useless in a way. You know what I mean? Like we just go by the price action because you don't know if that's actually going to improve. It's going to be more efficient in markets and things like that. Who knows, man? Like honestly, I have no idea. So if I have no idea, I just go with what I know. And what I know is what I see on the screen and the reaction of what people are looking. So always think about two things when you buy or sell something. If you buy something, right? Let's say if you buy Bitcoin, right? Obviously you want that that appreciation of value of Bitcoin on people's head is the same as yours. That Bitcoin is going to go up, right? So that perception, right, in terms of the value of Bitcoin being at 84, 85, 90, it means like, oh, it's still cheap. I can buy, this is going to a million, whatever. That's kind of the mindset that you want to have, right? So essentially you just go by price action. How the price action will react to different sort of news, things that happen economic, worldwide, wars, things like that is pretty hard to predict, man. Really, really hard to predict. Okay, so we can only go by the reaction of price at certain levels at a certain news. Okay, the interesting thing is I'm sort of seeing the correlation of these bounds, on the back of, I think it was fake news. I'm still need to figure that out. I haven't looked at it, and probably you guys know more than me that, Trump put on hold, or he's gonna roll back some tariffs, I think, and then, something happened with tariffs. So this is all about tariffs. All this volatility is about tariffs. Okay, so that's just giving you a heads up because it's going to be a pretty active weeks. You know what I mean? Like because I'm gonna be doing a lot of like short time trading, probably You guys might like it, you might not, but some trades are going to be very, very quick. Some trades will take 2 or 3 days. And that's what I'm saying that we can capitalize on at the moment. So yeah. Let me have a look at Solana, because and you can see that the correlation of the market is actually pretty much the same. Everything clear out of the lows. Things seems to be getting a little bit of strength, at least for this week. We might see a ranging thing, but Solana seems to be pretty interesting. So instead of Ethereum, I'll definitely jump in Solana. So, and who actually asked about Ethereum? If I show you the Solana against Ethereum chart, right? Look at this. You can definitely tell that Solana is stronger than ever in terms of Ethereum. What does this chart mean for those ones that knew or something? So we have here Solana against Ethereum. What that means is that Solana is stronger than Ethereum. So if the chart is actually going up, that means Solana is stronger than Ethereum. If chart goes down, then Ethereum is stronger than Solana. At this stage, the trend continue to the upside, right? We're very close to have this breakout. So there is a highly likelihood that it is better off buying Solana than Ethereum at this stage, right? That's kind of my gauge to see which asset is actually stronger. Another thing that I want to show you guys is the spaghetti. This is the full spaghetti chart of pretty much 260 something coins, right? This is where I knocked off. And from this perspective, I'm seeing a lot of outliers. I did talk about ALCH. This thing has been so freaking unbelievable strong, man. Anyway, but you can actually start seeing that pretty much all alts are down, right? And yeah, what happened with OM, there is a lot of manipulation in OM. The moment, would I buy OM at the moment? Not really, but you can actually gauge where the market is at the moment. I'll start looking to get some longs when we're at least 30 or 40% of the alts are getting up, but getting momentum, and thus will be the best trades. However, if we zoom out to the this is the 1 hour, right? You kind of start seeing there are a lot. Let me just zoom out. We start seeing a little bit of momentum on alts here. Let's have a look at this one, for instance. So Tau, let me talk about Tau because I do like Tau. Pendle, AXBT, right? There could be a really positive week this week, CRV. So you can actually gauge that we can actually see some trades happening this week. So let's have a look at Tau because I was looking at that one, to be honest. That's kind of the only one that I like. Longer term. So Tau, all right, so Tau, it is at a level that is very attractive, right? So it is a very attractive level here. So it actually went all the way down here to 168, which is the lowest low that this thing has been in since August 2024. And that could be a really good buy for long term, guys. You know what I mean? Like, so obviously have that. That's why we do have two different sort of trade locks, because one thing is leverage, and you should leverage at very quick trades, or we can we can actually capitalize on really good farms. But the other one is the spot. I will definitely could be buying a little bit of Tau, and if it comes down, you know what I mean, I will buy more. Tau is infrastructure in terms of AI. I think AI is still here. I'm gonna be doing a lot of the AI charts this week. That's in my day-to-day thing, because I think AI is going to start coming back hard, right? And Tau is one of my favorites, and it's actually looking pretty good right now. Would I buy leverage now? Not really. I wouldn't buy anything on leverage, to be honest, unless I have a really good risk reward sort of level, which kind of we missed, right, on this area. That happened on Thursday last week. So, but I wouldn't mind, getting some Tau on the spot portfolio. So yeah. Team has question: how will carry launch help with your returns during this time market? The guidance used to carry max out at 50. Ooh. Don't get your question, but I don't look at carry, mate. Obviously, carry of what they is doing with the vault. It's a different complete. It's a non-directional strategy. What that means is that they don't care. In terms of carry, what you look is the open interest, right? How much are you getting paid to buy or sell any asset, right? I look at directional trades. I look at emotional plus price action, right? And obviously carry is sort of you put it into the picture, but it's irrelevant sometimes, right? Because carry could be really positive or really negative, but it still could get a really huge appreciation to either side. And what I do in terms of trading with price action is getting that momentum. You know what I mean? Things like this. So on Tau, that wouldn't be a really good trade. You can actually see that they cleared the lows here. Now you see momentum on the 4 hours. Something that I would have done is put a trade, probably here with a stop loss right here. And then essentially if you risk 100, 500, 1,000, $2,000 from this trade, then I would have made already 2,000. Yeah, let's say if I reach 500 here, I would have made 1,500 on this trade, right? In the period of probably 3 days. So that's kind of a different trade. And also carry, it doesn't take into effect that much because you're not holding the asset for that long. Okay. All right. So what percentage of our portfolio should be in stable coins and ready for the longs? I think if you're not on anything right now, probably at least have a good portion of your stables ready. We might get better prices. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that kind of, if you are, I always add into my portfolio, right, into the spot. So obviously but I will have a reasonable amount of stables ready to deploy because it could get worse. You know what I mean? But if we start seeing a strength, then we start deploying and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of like my take. But in hype, yeah, man, hype. Let's have a look at hype because man, hype. Love hype, man. Look at this. So I went away on the 27th, right? And I did talk about these levels here to be cleared out, and it has. So think about from the perspective that let's have a look at the open interest on hype. Let me show you a really cool tool that before I went away, I was playing with, and it's pretty interesting. If you want to follow like the short-term trading and things like that, I'll show you a really interesting tool. But let me go through the levels on hype. So on hype, I think there is a highly likelihood that we might clear this level up here. If we have a look at the open interest, but this is open interest in here on Bybit. All right, let's check this out. This is really a really good insight. Okay, so you see that on the 26th of March, yeah, of course, one day before I went away, you got this influx of open interest, right? Is this longs or shorts? Who knows? Why do I know who knows? Because you got liquidations to both ends. You got liquidations, people that actually went long and went short. You know what I mean? But the fact is that the prices keeps coming down, right? and then open interest is coming up, there is a high likelihood that we have shorts piling up here, okay? What does that mean? We do have a lot of shorts, but this could actually trigger what we call, and we were talking all along, short squeeze. So a short squeeze happens when prices start going up and shorts start getting liquidated, which we can actually start seeing here, okay? But the only downside is if we don't clear these levels, then we might revisit this lows to a certain level that new buyers are coming in, okay? So with that being said, there is a high likelihood that Hype, right, might revisit these levels around here, and that could be a really good risk-reward ratio to actually get into a trade, okay? From a longer term perspective, I'll keep buying. I would have bought here at 10 if I was around, you know what I mean? Like from the spot perspective, because I do think fundamentally that Hype does have a really good upside, right? So obviously loading up on these lows, they could be a really good, and I don't do that with all the projects, by the way, but then Hype is one of those ones that it does, okay? All right, before I let me do Sui pretty quick, and let me just show you the tool that I was going to. I'll be using that tool a lot. So Sui, everything looks the same, man. This seems to be hammered, right? Everything is being pretty bad, right? But this is tough to call if we are in the bottom or not. But the fact that Bitcoin is holding, the fact that like the only thing that keeps me away to actually opening trades is freaking S&P 500. Besides that, I do think that we do have volatility, but Sui, there is another one that is another good project. I'll definitely hold this one for long term. If you are on it, you can either buy more, but if you want to open leverage positions, I wouldn't be doing that. Okay. So I think before I go, let me just show you this. I'll be expanding on this tool, and it is called Hyperdash. So hyperdash.info, by the way. So Hyperdash, it takes all the information, and it's free, by the way. It takes all the information from Hyperliquid, right? In terms of how many traders, their sizes, everything, right? It used to be a tool a while back that I used to use in GMX, which is that you can actually see all the trades happening live in a way, right? You don't have that kind of information with an exchange, because with an exchange, you don't know how many people are long and how many people are shorting, because everything is gateway, right? So everything is private on their exchange, and that information is only for the exchange. Now, with Hyperliquid, the interesting thing is everything is public, right? You can actually track every single little trade that's happening. So for instance, let's talk about Hype, yeah. So first of all, the first thing that I'll be looking at is the long short trend. That's the longs versus shorts. So this is the global. This is how many traders are actually going short and how many traders are going long exposure. But if you open each one of these ones, right, you can actually see it's gonna grab all the traders. Is going to tell you if they are sort of making profit or losses. And what we know sometimes in capitulation, this will be very, very handy to do our short-term trading, because usually what happens is when traders are losing money, then there is a highly likelihood that they close their positions. And if they do, then they have, the buying opportunities right there to do some really quick, nice scalps. So it takes a little while to load. But this tool, man, I actually used it like a couple of days before I went away. But I think it's going to be very, very handy for us to actually get those good trades here and there. Okay, so come on. Todd, I saw the Russian money printed TRX in your spaghetti chat. Yeah, I was talking about TRX before I went away, and then until out. And then TRX is actually doing pretty freaking good, man. Like, I like TRX. Yeah, TRX is ripping, man. Like, you know, barely moved by any sort of I like it. To be honest, man, I would have taken a trade here like Monday. Last week, man, was great for markets. You know what I mean? Really good risk reward setups, man. You have an RTV right here, right on the 200 EMA on an uptrend, man. You know what I mean? Like that's a very good trade, man. So anyway, there's gonna be a lot of those opportunities to come along. But then, yeah, I do like it. Is this going to break out? Don't know. Need to do more research on the open interest, but yeah, this one looks good, man. All right, so hype. And let's keep it short because I think I went over time. So you can actually see that 56 traders. You get the average entry price, you get the average distance to liquidation. This is another interesting data that we can actually see. You see that on hype you get 80% of traders are profitable, and then you get shorts. You know what I mean? You get you see the sizes of shorting. So this will be really good information that we'll be using in the next couple of weeks to actually do really good scalps. So play around with it. I'll be expanding a little bit more through my videos on this week on this tool, man. But I really like this tool, man. So I think that's it, man. I don't know if it's too much information. I mean,
That is amazing, man. It's so cool to have you back. And yeah, let's see what happens for the rest of this year, right? Yeah.
Oh, it'll be cool, man. I'll be doing interesting trades, man. Like definitely. So yeah, looking forward to get back into it this week, man.
Nice. Are we hopping on for 10 minutes after the call, Mauricio?
All right. Yeah, let's do that.
Nice.
Sweet.
See you later, everyone.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Ta-da.
Bye-bye.